Hello, YouTubers. This is another session where my friend Ricky and I continue to build a decentralized social media platform that we call Taarafo. Taarafo is a platform that is meant to deproductize humanity, to allow anybody to say whatever they want and spin up their own social media, and be able to attach and detach from other groups so people can actually do whatever they want with social media without, having their privacy or personal data or anybody building a prediction model based on their data without their permission. And it's been a while, Mr. Ricardo Cruz. How are you doing, my brother?
Well fed with all the turkey.
So for those of you who are watching us worldwide, here in the U.S. and in Puerto Rico, as part of the, entire, kind of, jurisdiction of the United States, we had Thanksgiving where people eat a lot of food, a lot of turkey, So brother Ricardo here, for you guys just to have a visual, Ricardo is 6 feet 4, tall. So this guy is a wrestler. This guy, yeah, don't look at the camera. This guy here is as big as a barn. I wouldn't mess with this guy. This is why I'm being nice to him. You know what I mean? Anyways, let's. So, Ricardo, I'm happy to see you, man. I'm happy to see you, brother, and let's continue our journey. And I think last time you and I were sitting here together, we were basically building the remove by ID for a
Yep.
post. We actually truly allow people to delete their posts, and it's open source. So when people go and say, I don't know if they're deleting my stuff or not, they can actually see it's going all the way down to the database, right? And it's kind of getting the best out, like actually removing the statement. Now, I was talking to my friend Brian Parker the other day, and he said something to me that's very interesting. In Australia, they have a law where even if you're an internet company, you're not allowed to actually remove any data for 2 years. And this is where open source comes into play, right? Open source come in here and say, here's the code, here's how we built it, here's our intentions. If you want to go and, comply by, the regulations and the rules of your country or whatever, place you're in, that's your thing. But for us, we're building it where people actually truly, when they click that delete button, it takes the post and every comment with it forever. We have no track of it whatsoever, which is how software should be built. You know, I think social media, how it's designed today, it needs a serious revision, and that's what you and I are doing today, my friend. Okay, so let me pull latest. I know my friend Stanislav have been going crazy with this project. He basically went in. I should be pairing with him tomorrow morning. Around rendering all posts. You
Oh,
know,
cool.
so that would be so we he basically so see how we're working in different places and different times, but we're working on the same project and eventually we're gonna meet at the same point. So let me just share with you my design here, how I imagine this to look like, and then so he's going on that retrieval post route, right? He's going in that direction, and you and I are going on the remove post route, right? So if I put in here the Blackboard draw IO real quick. So here's what we're planning to do, right? Assume this is your page, this is your timeline, right? He wants to go and say, I want to build that timeline where I can render all the posts. So this is the timeline right here. Maybe on the left here you have your profile. Maybe on the right here you have some recent news, popular hashtags, whatever the case may be, right? So this is how I imagine this. You have this header at the top here, right? And this header has maybe your picture. It says this is who you are, log in, log out, all that good stuff, right? But then, and maybe notifications and all that. But then in here, this is what he's working on. This timeline here is gonna pick up every post in the database. We're gonna filter that later based on the user. So if you're not in a particular group, or maybe we'll leave it open, we'll see. And we need to order these posts. It's gonna blow your mind how, like, how everything is interconnected. how all of these are interconnected together. So some of these posts are bigger than others and all that, right? And some of them have comments under them and all that. Okay, now check this out. You have these posts in here, right? And he is rendering those while you and I are gonna be working on this tiny hamburger menu in here where we get to click on that menu and it drops down a menu like this and it has a button in it that says delete.
Yeah.
So in here it will say delete like this. See? Delete. Right? Now, how are we intersecting? He's going and building this retrieval all the way from the back to the front, right? And tomorrow he's doing the UI. I'm gonna work with him on the UI for this timeline. And then you and I are building the view service to delete. So once he's done, you and I will be able to go modify that component and add the action to send delete. So far, so good, right?
Yeah.
But then the project that Brian Parker and I are working on, which is the infinite scrolling, will come into play. So when people scroll, it keeps pulling more posts. It's not optimum that you go and pull all the posts at once. If you have some 50,000, 1 million posts, you don't want to pull
Yeah.
all of those at once. So what Brian Parker is working on, this B virtualization model, is that when you scroll, it goes and calls the API and pulls in more data. See how all of this is connected together. It's crazy. I'll even add
Yeah.
one more to it. I'm working with, so this is OData, here's OData, and here's the virtualization on Blazor. And then you got this guy up there in Germany building the retrieve, and then this guy down there in Puerto Rico, building the remove. Here comes the interesting part. I am having a conversation with Eagle Hansen where we
Mm.
can mock the components. We want to mock the components so you don't have to actually build the dependency. There's a huge discussion, long discussions where, how do I mock these components? So all of these, if you're staying within the same realm and you're trying to build something end to end, everybody that's working within that will be able to support that purpose directly or indirectly. You see what I'm saying? So anyway, so what are we building today? We're building the view service side of this amazing journey that you and I have embarked on. So I'm gonna go here and create, I think I got latest. If I see a view service in here, okay, so this post views needs to go under views. So there's foundations, services, and then there is views. So let me fix that real quick first. What do you think about that? Or should I let you do that later in a code drop? You do it later in a code drop. You've been out for a while. You're probably, at the lower part of a grade A at this point in time, if I'm not mistaken. But
I was gonna ask with that, yeah, because I'm noticing that some of the project they're adding foundation folders on the models, and they're also adding extra folders for views here. So
I think adding foundation folders on the models is okay because when you branch out,
yeah.
like this is supposed to be under foundations, so is this guy, and this guy should be under views. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's go here and create a new branch like this. Here is users, Hassan, Habib, and then what are we building? Views, and
Yep.
then for post view,
Room.
and then remove, right?
Yep.
Okay, let's do that. And then here is the interface. Technically, most of the things are already built out for us. We just have to kind of, there's a post view like this, and
Yeah.
this is me going and saying the remove post view by ID async. And this guy takes in a GUID, and this is post view ID, right? So far, so
Yep.
good. And then let's put a not implemented exception there in this piece. So let's go into the post view service. It's good to have you, Ricky. It's been a while. Thanks. Okay, let's go here, do that. I'm assuming our other service was already also returning. Okay, so this guy's not implemented exception. It's the right order because it's CRUD operation. So delete comes at the very end, except if it's, private. Now let's go write a test for it. I'm gonna go down here and create a simple test. Let me focus the screen here so people watching us can see the whole thing. Here you go. I'm gonna put you and I down there. Nope, That's not gonna work. How about that? Okay, so let's go down here and let's do this. So posts, and then this is remove by ID. That's under foundations. And then there's the post views. Again, this one needs a code rub. Let's go here and I'll just copy this guy here, retrieval, and I'm gonna paste it here. And I'm just gonna go here and say there's something here I want to talk to you about that we haven't talked about before. This is the first time you and I do a view service, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, logic. Here you go. Okay. Okay, let's do this. Let's take all of this junk out like this. And then I'm gonna zoom back in and I'm gonna say fact. Here you go. Public async task should remove, right? Post view by ID async. Great. You know how you might see people saying assert, arrange, assert, act, right?
Yeah.
I was reading about Swift yesterday, the Swift programming language. Have you ever heard of it? Swift?
Yeah.
So, so I was reading yesterday some documentation. I noticed that they're using given when then. I was like, oh, at least someone out there, believes.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been looking around with a bunch of programming languages like Scala, Kotlin, Java, Swift, just looking around seeing what's new because some of these programming languages are great inspiration when it comes to, you know, finding out new ways to make your C# code even prettier. Never
Hmm.
stay within the same box, always look outside that box. So anyway, here's a GUID, right? So a random ID, random post view ID, right? So it's a new GUID and then another GUID that's input post view ID. This is random post view ID. There's my guy. And then let's go here and say, what do we want to do? We want to we want to create a random post and then map that random post into a post view, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you do the mapping here in your service, you would be replicating the work of your service. How do you know
True.
your test is in good state? The most important part is that not to allow your test to do the exact same logic that your service is doing. Okay? And
Okay.
this is a really important piece, and you'll notice this in a lot of tests, and I'm gonna have to stop here and just share this with you real quick and just explain this one to you because this is very, very important. You will notice that in logic, in the actual logic, you go from x plus y equals z. But in the test, you start from the result and work your way back to x and y. See how they're going in two different directions? And I don't know why this StreamYard makes the screen flicker like this. It's really annoying. But anyway, this is the idea. The idea here is to go and say, you can't repeat the exact same logic when you're writing a unit test. You can't do that.
Mm.
Right? So let's go back into this and let me show you something that I call Euclid's Law of Axioms. Euclid says some thousand years ago, he says, things that are equal to the same thing are equal to each other. Things that are equal to the same thing are equal to each other. So if I think it's the first law of axioms, and basically what he's basically saying is that I extracted that law and I basically said we can use that today in 2021, 2022, when you're writing unit test, when you go and say, okay, if things that are equal to the same thing are equal to each other, then the path that your business logic is going to be taking to reach the result should be different from the path that your unit test is going to be taking to reach the exact same result, because that's how you're going to verify, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you're repeating the same logic, you're not really testing it. You're not really doing any testing. So let's go back to this guy here and let's talk about that for a little bit. So in order for that to work, I need to create a dynamic object that is not a post and it's not a post view. It's neither a post or a post view. So let's see, what does that look like? I can go here and say dynamic, and then I'm going to go and say post view properties. And then I'm gonna go here and say create dynamic post view properties. And I don't know if Stanislav extracted that as its own method, but it's worth to take a look and see what he did. So he created a random post view collection. So he made it on its own, just like this. Okay, I'm gonna take this, right? He put the author as a GUID. We're gonna change that a little bit, but okay, get random string and all that. Okay, perfect. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go here and say private static dynamic create random post view properties. So it's not really a post, and it's not a post view either. Okay, it's properties of these views. And then in here, I'm gonna go and say just return this dynamic object. And now I'm gonna go up in here and I say, you know, instead of that, just let me flatline that guy because now I need that little function. So I'm gonna put it in here and then I'm gonna break down like this and we should be good. Okay, so I simplified the method here a little bit. Now, what about the author? Let's make our code a little bit better. I can go here and say private static string get random author name like this. Okay, and I can go here and say new real names. Look, get value. So this guy's gonna give me a real person's name that's completely randomized, and I'm gonna put that in the author here.
Is that coming from dynamics as well?
From dynamics, John and
Yeah.
Jane and Reiki and
Yeah.
Hassan and everything in there, right? Dynamics can also give you more than that. It can give you IP addresses, it can give you city names, it can give you so many different things. There's infinite cities, countries, phone numbers, and you can even develop your own pattern and it will generate random logic based on the regex expression that you passed to it. It's a very powerful library. Okay, cool. So if to control
Cool.
your scope, right? To control your scope. Okay, so create random post view properties. Let's go back down to remove by ID, and I'm gonna go here and say create random post view properties, just like this. Okay, perfect. Now what are we gonna do? We have in here, I'm gonna go here and say post, that's what's gonna come back, the post from the call. And this is here gonna be random post. And I'm gonna go here and say post view properties. Actually, new post like this. And I'm gonna make this var because the right side is clear. And I'm gonna go here and say ID equal, you know, post view properties dot ID. And then in here I can go and say author post view properties dot author, and I can go here and say content. Don't you just love the okay, here it is. It didn't follow through with this one. So this is post view properties dot created date, right? And in here I can go and say updated date equals. Now it learned. See, first it
Yeah.
said UTC now, but now it learned how. It's scary, man. It's scary business. And then I'm gonna go here and say post and say removed post. So that's the post that we removed, and that's gonna come from that random post. Okay, so that's that post that comes back. But then I can go here and say var expected post
Post view.
view,
Yeah.
right? And I can go here and say post view like this, and I think they have similar properties unless Stanislav changed something. Let's see what he did. No, they're very similar. Yeah, they're very similar. Okay, perfect. So I have the content, the author. Oh, he made the author like this because it's a GUID. Oh, okay, then he's right. Well, at least you learned about get random author name. I guess that's okay. So GUID dot new GUID, fine, fine. He's right. Let's go here and take the author name out. We should probably change that, but we're not setting up the security and the users yet. So some of these paths and flows, I want people to get comfortable with the fact that the code that you write is inevitably going to change as part of this work. A lot of engineers think when they write the code, it's not going to go away forever. That's not what I kind of try to propagate here. I go and say, okay, you can get it to stage one. Okay, let's call this first random post view like this. And then I'm going to go here and say post view, expected post view, and that will be your random post view in here. Okay, now let's just set up all we gotta do is set up the mocks, right? So this dot mock, that's my post service mock setup,
Yeah.
service, right? Service, and then service dot remove post by ID, and that's your input post ID. right? And then in here, we're going to go and say returns async, right? Removed post. So far, so good, right? Now, I need to go here and say post view, actual post view equals await this dot service. So that's my service. And then remove post view. And then I can go here and say input post view ID. That's also very straightforward. No magic there. And then the last thing here, my friend, is to go and say actual post view should, right, be equivalent to expected post view. And then I want to verify that the mock has been called properly. So this is my service, service.remove post by ID, and then input post view ID times once. Amazing. I have to say, this autocomplete AI app actually single-handedly saved me at least a couple of hours every month of typing somehow. It depends on how much you do it, right? Depends on how much you do it. So
Yeah.
this is verify no other calls right here. And then in here, the logging broker, verify no other calls. All right, check this out. So we have a test here. We have a nice test in here. It basically goes and says, should remove post view by ID async. Here's the random post view ID. Here's a random view properties where I'm creating both the removed and the expected. So that means I'm not doing the mapping because, see, things that are equal to the same thing should be equal to each other. This dynamic properties is where the post and the post view came from. I didn't map them to each other, so I didn't repeat my logic in any way. I didn't go here and say create random post, and out of this random post, go and map it to the post view. Well, that's my business logic then. See what I'm saying there?
Okay.
See,
I see.
it's a little
Yeah.
tricky, but now you don't have that same business logic. So now if I go here and go and write and run that test, it should technically fail. I'd be very surprised if it didn't because it literally has nothing in there. Here we go. Do I have a failing test? He jumps, he dunks, he scores. Okay, so what is this guy saying? The operation is not implemented. Perfect. And I'm going to take away these usings that we don't need. And then I'm going to go up here and say this guy is a failure. Fail. Let's go up here, push. You're it, my friend.
All right.
You're ready to roll? Let's do it. Let's go to town.
All right. Let me share my screen.
Yep. Go for it. There you are. Okay.
Here I am. All right. Let's just go for the running of all the tests. Let's see what we get.
Okay.
Ah, did I get all the? All right.
I think it pushed. I think.
Yeah, I think I need to find the the branch here. Brokers. Let me just find you. All right, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. There it is.
All right. Okay.
There it is. Not implemented. It's fine. Let's
Yep.
look for the tests.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to go here, and I did not go to the right one. Let me see.
It's
Remote.
always the one under the win. The one under the win section.
Yeah,
That's the one.
there we go.
Yep.
All right. So let me just see. Okay, so we got the service. So we gotta do for now. It would be see, do we need to? Yeah, we need to return a post view. So
That's right.
post view.
Hmm.
Um, deleted post view.
Right.
So this dot post service
Mm.
not remove post made.
Right. But this
But
guy
then
returns a post, right?
yeah,
And you need an await. Mm.
yeah. What I need to do is this would be a sync and
Oh, don't do that. Go back. Go back. Remove that async real quick. And then just
yeah.
type await. Type await in there.
Okay.
And then take a space. Ah, you skipped it. Do await and then take a space after it.
Await and space.
Yeah, like type await. Like remove await and type it again.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Space. Check it
Oh.
out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's actually pretty cool. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's Visual Studio for you right there.
Okay, so I've been seeing the examples that you can
Mm.
like convert this to a post view by using some sort of method as post view.
Hmm.
But then that's the part that I'm kind of like confused, like where to do this here. Because yeah, like this one here. So
Right. So you want to first, get the result as a post, right? It's a deleted post instead of a post view, right?
right,
Uh-huh. And
makes sense.
then we want to map that guy back into a post, right? So why don't you copy the lines from after the fat arrow from line 48 to line 55 after the fat arrow. So from the fat arrow down,
Oh,
right? Take that guy and create a method for it. Control period, it will say extract method. Ah, why is it saying base class? Okay, just copy the whole thing from after the fat arrow. Yep, take that guy and just create another private static method that says map to post view. So it returns a
um,
post view, right?
yeah. Map to
To post view.
post view.
And it takes a post, right?
Yep.
Nice. Yep, and then just copy that code from 48. Actually, cut that code out. Yeah, and then just do return in there, and then just call that method inside the func, and then call the method again. Yep, there you go. Perfect. And then let's go up there, and no, yeah, for line 48, you don't need that code anymore. That's redundant. So you just need to just call the function, right?
Okay, so it's just like
Yeah.
map to post view,
Yep.
then path to
Post.
post.
Done.
Gotcha.
Right? And then in our method up there, that's exactly what we're gonna be doing too. We're gonna just call the return map to post view, and I'll just do the trick for you.
Return map to post view.
Right.
Question: can I
Yeah.
fat hour this method here?
No, because it's multi-liner. It's scoped.
Ah,
It has multiple
uh,
lines, right?
right, right. Yeah.
And I think also this is why I'm happy about this because this one was also a fat arrow, but it didn't have a scope in it, and it was bothering me a little bit. It shouldn't be like that, so I kind
Gotcha.
of canceled it.
All right.
Okay, now take away that space and run the test.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. The only way to it is to do it. Hmm.
Let's see, it's running. It's running. Ah,
Ah,
I
failed?
see. For should retrieve all post view async though.
Oh, you just have to run everything first. Just run everything.
Oh, right.
Oh, should retrieve all posts. Why is this guy mad? It's saying system func object does not what? Does not contain a definition for ID. Go back to your the code that you copied.
So
So this is no, I don't think it's failing on retrieval, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So go to the actual code. Yeah, click on yep, that guy. And then it says ID, author, property author. Did I change anything in the let's see. Open up the error again real quick. So it says that dynamic object does not
Yeah,
contain a definition for ID, right?
yeah.
Let's go into the mapping, the method that says create random post view collections. Yeah, and this guy here says create. Oh, so just open close the parentheses. I forgot to open close parentheses there. That's all.
On which
Line
part?
80. Line 80.
980.
After properties.
Ah,
No, no, no. No, no, no. You still nope. You just it's a method call, right? So you want to open close parentheses. Create
method
random post
call.
create random post view properties is a method that needs an open close parentheses.
Ah,
Yep. Let's run that again. See what happens.
so it's basically didn't create the object itself.
Nope. It just returned a reference. It just returned a reference for it. This guy should pass technically.
Yep,
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Let's commit that guy as a pass. So which test passed for us?
this
Yeah,
guy.
this guy. All right. So here's the deal. Let's connect tomorrow, but you have a little assignment for today. You will have a little assignment for today. Take on take on doing the validation for the ID. So
Okay.
validating an ID, write a failing test for validating ID, and then I'm gonna pick it up tomorrow with you. Does that make sense? Because we've already done this
All right.
before, many
Yeah.
times, so people don't have to kind of, but that's the only thing I want from you. Write a test that validates the incoming ID for the view service. That means that you're gonna have to throw invalid post view exception, right? That will have the ID built in it, right? And then you're going to
Mm.
build a validation that a post view validation exception. And then you and I will handle the other exceptions together tomorrow.
So I would be kind of taking the same kind of concept of the
Yes.
services, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
structural validation. We're not doing any logical validation. What do you think about that? Do you think you can do that one? So,
Yeah.
okay, perfect. So that's pretty much it for today for us, Ricardo. Let's connect tomorrow and let's see if we can, kind of continue this journey because once we're done with this view service, hopefully tomorrow I'll be done with Stanislav in terms of building these cards and components for the timeline. So you and I can go in and add an action to that card. So the card will have an action and the action will call the view service and make the delete. Does that make sense?
Yep. Sounds awesome.
All right, my friend. Well, for all of you watching us, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, please feel free, drop a comment in the comment section and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.